Wait, cut that out. Wait, I tripped.
Casey Gray here from The Conscious Builder. You are watching episode 2 of the 3 Day Cottage, and today is demo day.
And I was like
so much
a
fun.
12-year-old throwing buckets of sand and digging holes and like.
My name is Reagan Casey. I've been an operator for about 8 years or so. I work with Total Site Services.
Who else wants to throw, guys?
Yeah. Who else wants to?
Oh!
They had suggested that we throw rocks at the windows. And I'm like, when do you ever get to throw rocks at a window? Like, you know, you have to avoid anything going into a window as a kid. I don't get to do that very often.
So at the beginning of every teardown, I kind of like to let the owners have a little bit of fun before we tear the house down. So typically I'll tell them to throw rocks through the window. I mean, hey, you used to get in trouble when you were a kid throwing rocks around the yard and stuff like that, and it gives them a chance to destroy what they own, you know? I mean, you never really get to do that. So I call it the kind of christening of the demo.
They said that they really enjoyed the fact that we were having fun, because a lot of the times it's sort of an emotional thing, but I don't have an emotional attachment to these flies either. People have an emotional attachment to a home sometimes that they're demolishing just because it's been in the family for years, and oh my goodness.
On this building in particular, they had a hydro disconnect, same with the bell. Their septic tank, they had a pump-up chamber that goes up to their bed, and they had their chamber disconnected, so I don't have to worry about that, but they plan on reusing it. And they have a culvert running up the middle of their property that we got to be careful about. And I'm not too concerned about it because I don't plan on digging around there, but depending on how much we slip and slide with the excavator a little bit, it's a little muddy around here. You just got to make sure that it's still buried. One of our older machines. It's a Volvo 150E excavator. It has a thumb on it, so I can nitpick through materials such as insulation, styrofoam, wood, steel, and any other debris we find inside the building.
The whole process of just knocking the building down, that was just really, really cool to watch. And then afterwards, they sort of separate all the materials. They separate the insulation, they separate wood, they separate metal. So it goes into different containers and gets carried off so it can be disposed of appropriately. So all of that was really interesting. I'd never been through that before, so that was a learning experience for me as well, and it was also a lot of fun.
The property has a right-of-way with a steep slope and basically a right angle turn to get up to where the cottage is. Even on days where it wasn't raining, it was actually fairly difficult for the dump trucks to back up there when they had a full load.
In typical situations where if they're having trouble backing up a steep hill, or their tires aren't getting traction on topsoil or a little slim mud coating on the driveways, I can actually pull them back uphill using the excavator. It doesn't do much damage, or it doesn't put too much stress on them. It's relatively safe.
It's easy to underestimate what's required for site work on projects, and this is one of those things where it doesn't matter if you're building a 7,000 square foot cottage or a 2,000 square foot cottage or a 1,000 square foot cottage, whatever it may be. Often the site work is very similar in cost. In this case, for example, the right-of-way was really just a dirt road, which works for cars and trucks that are just coming over it every once in a while, but it doesn't work when you have dump truck after dump truck after dump truck coming and going to a site. We had to put a proper base down over the right-of-way all the way up to the cottage so that the dump trucks that were coming and going wouldn't sink into the mud. Because we weren't sure where the cottage was going to sit exactly, we had to do some exploration work, and what we were trying to do is figure out where the rock face were. You could see the dirt, but we didn't know exactly where the rock was below the dirt. So this was part of the excavation, is figuring out the best place to locate the cottage so that we could get good views, good orientation for the sun, as well as a decent placement where it's not going to cost an arm and a leg to place the cottage. We also didn't want to get into blasting rock. In Ottawa, the rock is typically soft enough where we can take a hi-ho and a hoe ram and we can chip the rock out and dig it out. There, the rock is so hard that it has to be blasted, which can get quite costly quite quickly.
Thanks for joining us on this episode. Make sure that you subscribe for notifications and join us in our next episode with Jane Wilson, our architect. You'll get to see some behind the scenes footage and walk through the design process with us.